I'm happily married now with really the woman of my list. And 4 or 5 years before I met her, me and a friend of mine, another guy, were of the opinion, hey, we're just not gonna, no woman's gonna be interested in us.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning back into our second act with Paige and Silka. Happy to say Darrell Gurney is back for a second segment today, talking about finding love after 50, specifically, where are all the good men and women? Darrell, but welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Silka.
Well, we will link to our first segment where we ended with the conclusion, I think, that the question, are there any good men left? Are there any good women left? Is really, well, what I said off camera, is a stupid question. It's a rhetorical question. The answer is, of course there is. So, it's really what we bring to the table, really, that dictates where we go from there, Darrell.
Well, it is. And the thing is, what we covered in the last segment was, there's things that have happened to us, where we perceive that we've been damaged or hurt or things like that. And, therefore we start to become a turtle in a shell, afraid to stick our neck out. And unfortunately, and I point this out in the book, the Back 40 that'll be coming out later this year, is that when we have these experiments, at 20, you didn't have your head in a shell, right?
No, we weren't hurt yet.
What's that?
We haven't had a chance to be hurt yet.
Well, yeah, but the point being is if we look at it like hurt, and now this is the way life is, or this is the way men are, or this is the way women are, then our world closes down. So anyhow, it's what we bring to the table, yes. But there's a hope here, and I pointed this out at the end of the last segment, that when someone asks, are there any good women out there? Yes, that comes from resignation because of the hurt, but yet there's a desire. There's a desire for love. There's a desire for openness, okay? There's a desire to attract something. So the exercise then becomes, well, how do I start to open myself up for that? Well, one thing is to start, and this is the biggest challenge, and it's the biggest muscle, I say, that there is for us to develop in the Back 40, if what lies ahead of us is greater than anything that's come before, which is what we say,
but we believe, yes.
yeah, we say your best is yet to come.
Yes. And
you have yet to do what you came here to do. If that's the case, then that means we got to keep opening up. And one of the hardest things to do is to do a double take. You know what a double take is? It's like when you're walking down the street and you think you recognize someone, you do a double take, right? Is to do a double take on ourselves and go, what if my belief isn't true? What if that solid belief I have isn't true? That alone creates a little crack that we can start opening a new door. Because let's say a woman or a man started to say, well, what if my belief that there aren't any good men out there isn't true? What if it's not true? Then we can start experimenting. Like, well, first off, start to spell out, well, what is a good man? What is a good woman? What are the elements of a really good man and a really good woman?
Yeah, okay? What do you want at this point in your life?
Yeah, because good is going to vary for everybody, right?
Right, exactly.
And then for the next week, find examples. Actually go out like an investigative reporter. You can do it with the people in your office. You can do it with, people that you connect with, or start examining your friends, or you can even go online and Google stories, good men stories, good women stories. But the thing is, you got to first start to build evidence. Realize there is evidence in the universe that there are good men. Yeah. There is evidence in the universe that there are good women. So, and by simply starting to look from that, there's this thing called law of attraction, okay? And it says we get more of whatever we focus on. By getting away from the resignation question and getting on the playing field of really looking for evidence, and even if you got to make some stuff up at the beginning to get it going, but really starting to look for evidence, you start to become open. It's like if you want to buy a Prius, Silka, what do you see on the street everywhere?
Prius is everywhere.
Priuses, right? So it's starting to, there's this thing called the reticular activating system, and it basically says whatever you think about, you're going to see more of. And all I'm saying is that's a very, very simple process to get it going, to actually start to be willing to be wrong about your views.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And then it's like my mind went to a lot of the comments and stuff that we've gotten lately, and especially the ones that are real ugly, but they're not representative of the people out there. These again are people that are jaded. But like what you said is, when they put that out, then that's the more you see, and the projection in that is just fascinating. But how
it's tough. When people have been so hurt, and again, I'm not saying there's not freedom for everyone, but it really takes a person who has been really hurt to generate the desire to come out of the hurt. And so when you see like these fringe women or fringe men, there's a lot of fringes out there.
Absolutely.
It's like, they find others that that carry the same evidence, and then they just trade their evidence and become more and more solid.
Right.
You got to look to see, well, is that what you want?
Exactly. Yes. And that's, I think, one big message that I want to get out in all of our segments is that if you are truly out looking for your soulmate, the love of your life after 40, after 50, just don't be affected by that. Somehow don't allow yourself to be affected by it, because it's one set of evidence that you don't need.
Find people who want to, who believe or want to believe the same things that you believe, that there is something still available. There's something possible. You got to have support though, because left to our own devices. And I'll tell a story at some point about, I'm happily married now with the woman of my list. And 4 or 5 years before I met her, me and a friend of mine, another guy, were of the opinion, hey, we're just not no woman's going to be interested in us. So I've been in those places, but I had supportive people who slapped me around and said, Darrell, that's BS. That's a belief system. Get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, other than changing our, just what we bring to the table, our attitude towards this process, do you have any other advice on how to find that person for you?
Well, yeah, and it brings up a story of a few years ago. A friend of mine got married at 45, and I made a comment to him, and it was his first marriage. And I said, wow, it took this long. I wasn't making him feel bad. I just was commenting. It's like, wow, it took this long to find the right person, right? It was meant to be a compliment. He said, no, it actually took this long to become the right person. So we can talk about, being willing to be wrong, going out and getting evidence and starting to, open yourself up to new possibilities. One big area of possibility is to begin to look at yourself, and look to see, as much as I'm convinced I'm a good woman, as much as I'm convinced I'm a good man, well, what are some areas where I can grow? How can I be even more the good woman or the good man? Like taking it on. Then you attract more of what you're putting your attention on.
No, I agree. I think it's all about attitude. I think that, there are, we can go into the technical aspects or the practical aspects, whether it's online, whether you go to meetups, whether you, whatever, a grocery store, Costco, great story about Costco. It doesn't matter where you are. There's good people, there's bad people. It's what you bring to the table that will determine whether or not it's possible. And I have, having done this show now for about 3 years or so, I have so many stories about finding love after 60, 70, and 80.
Sounds like a book's coming out of you.
Maybe. And none of those people, one of the things they all had in common, they all believed it was possible. They didn't believe it wasn't possible. And with that in mind, we are, again, gosh, our segments just go so fast. Darrell, is there anything else that you want to leave us with?
From a back 40 perspective, I want to encourage everyone, whether it's relationship, career, whatever, what if the best is yet to come? And that is the attitude that I say around relationship or anything else. If you really believe, contrary to society telling us the down and out model after 40, 50, 60, all of our good is behind us, I'm going to say, what about an up and out model? What if the best is yet to come?
Couldn't agree with you more. Darrell, will see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today. For more videos on finding love again after 50, please visit our website, secondact.tv, and look on our homepage. In the upper right-hand corner, we have a suggestion box. So if there's topics that you'd like to see us cover in the future, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time. Bye-bye.